38.5% of people set New Year's resolutions every year. In the US, that is nearly 100 million resolutions that are set every January. And out of 100 million resolutions, 80% of them will have been given up by the time February rolls around, and the reason for that is really interesting. But before we get into why resolutions so often fail and how you can make sure yours are successful, I want to talk about habits, and specifically how habits are formed. You see, humans have this primitive part of their brain that is wired for survival, and the drive to survive comes in three forms. First, to conserve energy and effort. Two, to avoid pain and death. And three, to reproduce. Habits are amazing because they allow us to do that first one, conserving energy, really, really well. When we do something enough times, it becomes easier for us to do without having to think about it. This sets our brain up for other things and allows us to expend less mental effort on the task at hand. You have definitely seen this at play if you know how to drive a car. Think back to your first time driving and remember how much you had to think about every single thing that you did. You had to remember where the turn signal was. Using your feet to stop and go felt really clunky. And you probably had a few times where you put too much pressure on the brakes and you stopped too fast. But the more you drove, the easier it became. This is because those actions started to become habitual and automatic. And that habit formation is actually a physical process that happens inside of your brain. Your brain is actually changing as habits form, and it will continue to change as you form new habits. You're probably wondering what this has to do with resolutions, and I promise I'm getting there. But first, let's talk about how habits form in our brains. Habits form in our brains through a process called myelination. Whenever you take an action, neurons in your brain light up with these electrical impulses. Those impulses travel through your body's nervous system to move your muscles and make you do the things that you thought of doing. When groups of neurons fire together frequently, your body sees that and it says, hey, these neurons look like they go together, so let's make them into their own group and let's make it easier for them to communicate with each other. It then creates what is called a myelinated sheath around those neurons, which allows the electrical impulses to travel between them faster. So next time you go to take that action, it literally feels easier and quicker to do that because of that myelinated sheath. So, what does habit formation have to do with New Year's resolutions? The answer is everything. When you set a New Year's resolution, you are resolving to do something different than what you have been doing. In essence, you are setting a resolution to go against your most deeply ingrained habits. If you want to lose weight, you are going against your habits that make you snack on junk food late at night. If you want to get a promotion and make more money or get better grades in school, then you are setting a resolution to go against your habits that make you procrastinate and waste time browsing the internet. So, how do we set resolutions successfully? The key lies in understanding our habits that don't align with our new resolutions. First, we need to figure out what triggers them, and then figure out how to structure our environment to make the bad habits harder and the good habits easier. Let me give you an example. This last year, I had a goal to lose 30 pounds while building muscle. One of the bad habits that was getting in my way was my habit of snacking when I was bored, tired, or stressed, and also snacking as soon as I got home from work. I would walk in the door, I would head over to the pantry, and I would usually eat 300 to 500 extra calories of peanut butter, nuts, chocolate chips, without even thinking about it. I knew I had this habit, so I strategized a few ways I could try and disrupt it. First, I tried making a habit of putting my things away first as soon as I got home. That worked okay, but in order to get anywhere else in my house, I had to go through the kitchen, and walking through the kitchen would always trigger the cravings when I got home from work. So I tried another tactic. Instead of entering the house through the garage door, I would walk around the house to the front door and go in through there. This also worked okay when I remembered to do it, but I often forgot because parking my car and walking in through the garage entrance was already a pretty deeply ingrained habit. There were two things that finally worked for me. First, we started keeping the snack foods in harder to reach places, which added a bit of friction when I would try to grab them. And then, instead of snacking on munchy things when I got home, I started to grab a protein shake from the snack fridge at work. Where I work stocks these Premier protein shakes from Costco in the fridge, and they are 160 calories with a bunch of protein. So before leaving work, I grab one from the fridge and then I take it home with me. I don't drink it in the car. I take it home with me so that as soon as I walk in the door, I can drink the protein shake. This way, my desire to munch doesn't come up because I've satisfied that need already with the protein shake. See, I just replaced the habit action with a better option that fills the same need while simultaneously making it more difficult to do the undesired action. So if you want your New Year's resolution to succeed, part of your goal-setting process needs to include workshopping your habits and strategizing what you can change in your environment. You have to surround yourself with the environment and the people that will push you towards your desired success, and then get rid of the people and parts of your environment that keep pulling you back to your bad habits. So go ahead and leave a comment with your New Year's resolutions and how you're going to change your environment to make that resolution inevitable.